What's up, everybody, and welcome to this week's entry of SharkNation number 60. We're 60 years old, 60 weeks old. I'm your host, Chad, here with your co host, Jason, and we're going to talk about submission today. Submission. How's it going, buddy?
Good. I feel like submitted. Beat down last night. Late game. I'm dragging ass today, staying up late. But yeah, submission is a good topic for today.
The Vikings have failed you again.
Story of my life. It's all good.
I feel for you because I don't know how, like, me.
Oh, I lost you there.
Oh,
Oh, I
yep,
got you.
sorry. Got a phone call and I canceled it. Sorry about that. You got me now?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's gonna be rough. So, but you're back in the grind, and so I want to set the stage for this one because I definitely think that I think I've had a recent bit of submission. So, first and foremost, for those who aren't in real estate, or if you are in real estate, don't realize it takes more work to get the same result over the last year or two than it did in 21 and 20 or whatever in other years. It takes more work, more conversations, more attempts, more grit and all the good stuff. It just takes more. And I think really over the last week or two, looking, you start looking. And this is the cool thing about, not, I know the New Year's resolutions, not everybody follows through with them, but they're definitely a good time to look and analyze where you're at and where you're going and stuff like that. And I think when I looked at it, I finally just like looked at all the data or the not the data, all of the work I had done and analyzed it, and I'm like, it just takes what it takes.
Yeah.
Having some great guests we've had on the podcast here with John and then his son Alec, and Alec had said it. It takes what it takes. You think about it with health and fitness. It takes what it takes. It's not. It's not like you just get in shape because you got the right mindset too. You've got to do the work. You got to do the stuff. So, I think for me, going into 2025, it's like I have eliminated the emotions around the fact that it's hard and the judgment around the fact that it's hard and eliminated the fact that it's hard and just go, it just is what it is. And this is what it's going to take to get a result. And those are the results I'm looking for. So hard, easy, adjectives, eliminate it. I'm just going to submit to the work ahead.
Yep. And like you said, the market's different. It takes a certain level of effort. It takes a certain level of follow up and commitment to the process. I feel bad for agents that kind of started when real estate was like shaking the money tree. You went out, somebody called you, you took them out, you showed them one house, they put an offer on it, was over asking, blah, 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 on to the next one. You didn't really have to do a lot of the work. I see it a lot with agents from that time period that didn't adjust or adapt to that. They're still in that mindset where it's like, okay, I call them once, they don't answer, I'm on to the next one. But consistently following up with people is going to get you that next deal. And just one call in this market, it's not going to take it. Uh, from some of the conferences that we were at, you didn't go to Conversion Con, but other similar ones that we went to, 15 contact attempts before you'll be able to convert a lead, at least at a minimum. So what's that mean? Call, text, email, first 5 days, that's 15 contact attempts. So if you call somebody once, never call them again, or never follow up again, your chances are 1 in 15 to ever converting that lead to a sale.
Well, and I'm happy you brought that up too because I mean I've always played that game really really well. I love the internet lead conversion game. I mean all lead conversion game, but I've loved the internet lead conversion game because the day I got my real estate license, I think the next day I was like, where would I go for leads? And I started paying Zillow. I don't anymore, but I got into that game early of converting online leads. And what back then, in the come up, like I was, it was everything I had to pay 250 a month for lead gen, and then 500 a month. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna try 1,000 a month, and it was really really scary at the time. And I say this a lot. If you've been in a mastermind or a meeting with me, is like I was shaking every penny out of that piggy bank. There was not like we weren't leaving nothing in there. I was making sure, and not so much in like a getting people to do things they weren't going to do, just in a follow up and I was just making sure that I was there. If they were going to take action, I was going to be along the ride with them on that action, and that was the mentality. And I think a lot about where things are now. You and I have large databases. Um, Things have changed a little bit, and my mindset on some things. And I think I was just talking to Brittany about this. I think where my mindset shifted over the last couple weeks is it's not just about shaking the piggy bank and getting every single person um, that will want to buy or sell a house, because I got a lot of assholes that I worked with.
No a-hole rule.
So for me now, it's like I am just going to submit to the fact that it takes a wicked amount of action and conversation with human beings to find the people that want to work with you and you want to work with them. So just like going wider in a sense of like not needing every single person, but deeper with the people that have raised their hand up and say, I like you, you like me, let's roll. You know what I mean? And it
Hmm.
sounds simple, but like why I go there, because one is to be super transparent and document this journey. I think that's what the purpose is of us doing this here and interviewing some great people on this podcast, who we have some good ones coming. Um, but for me, it's exposing that before it was by um, there was so much emotional attachment to each individual person, right? Like even if they didn't know money, like emotional attachment to converting them, right, and the outcome. And now it's like, no, I'm just gonna talk to a ton of people, be authentically me 100%, and the chips will fall where they fall. And if they don't like me, cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I
Yeah,
bet I'll have more people that I want to work with through that. Does that make
for
sense?
sure. Well, I think you'll attract your tribe, right? So people that are similar to you, which will make it much more pleasant experience working and helping people like that. But a lot of times for newer real estate agents, they just don't understand that it's also a two-way street. Just because somebody contacts you doesn't mean that you have to work with them. I have a lot of females on the team, and I'm like, look, if anybody you're not comfortable with, don't go show them houses. If you're getting that vibe or whatever, you have my permission to not go there or not work with that person at all. Or if you think it's going to be weird, have somebody buddy up with you and go to a showing together, or ask me, I'll go with you. You know what I mean? But I think a lot of times people don't realize that it's a two-way street like that. I only want to work with people that want to work with me. If they don't want to work with me, that's cool. I'm good.
And the most important thing, though, I think, though, too, is none of this works without reaching out. Like, you have to, like, you don't get a choice if you never reach out.
Yeah. Um, we literally were just talking about that on this morning's pod, right? So, we have a couple agents that are newer, and they were just saying like, I'm not really sure what they're looking for. I'm like, well, you're trying to skip steps, right? Um, you're going from call to showing, and you're not doing your consultation where you can build the rapport, build the relationship, and show value. If you go from conversation to showing, you're missing that middle chunk of the piece of the pie where that's all the value that you create. And then you become a commodity. If you're just showing houses, they don't like the house, they're going to attribute that bad house to you as a bad agent and find somebody else for the next one because you didn't provide the value. You didn't show them the process. You didn't walk them through the whole cycle of buying a home. You didn't help get them pre-approved if they need help with that. You didn't find out what their top 5 must-haves are. That's clarity is kindness. I go, how are you going to find something for somebody if you don't know what it is? You're never going to find it. But if you sit down and you kind of go over your goals, that's the best way to find it, is to know what you're looking for, right? That should at least give you a start.
Well, that's one of the worst part about, in my experience, because I mean, I've had the sphere of influence that pops out, 5, 10, 20 deals just from kind of referral and from people who know me and stuff like that. And that stuff is great. And I say it a lot anymore, like that's cherries on top though. That's not from the work. Like, that's not predictable. It's not, you've got to have something that you do and control, because we get in this business for freedom and control. You've got to have something that you control that leads to the result no matter what, something proactive that you're doing, right? The cherries on
Well,
top are great.
I want to stop you on that though.
Okay.
It's residual reward for the work that you already put in.
maybe, but some even get it out the gate because they just have a good, I'm talking agents that got their license and all of a sudden they've got like 5 deals in the
For
next
sure.
couple months, right? What I'm trying to bring up though, with all what you said is true, and with the agents that just get it out the gate, the cherries on top, like they don't, you can skip steps on those. Doesn't mean you should, by
Yeah.
the way.
Yep.
but but you might skip the listing consultation. Because it's your cousin, like, and
Yeah.
they'll use you no matter what. And that's not, first of all, it's not good for the client. It's not good for them.
No.
Um, I've learned you've got to have a full tilt consultation, sorry, with everybody you work with, because you're not setting the proper foundation for the relationship, and it'll make the deal that much harder when you don't have a proper consultation later. And I'm talking with your sister, anybody. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Like you said, there should be no surprises when it comes to closing, right? You shouldn't miraculously find out that they're not qualified after they go under contract. You should find out a lot of this stuff way ahead of time. Like, in our area, we have a lot of investment properties. Some people try to pull where they're going to use an FHA loan, 3.5% down, and then they don't want to live there.
mm,
Well, that's the requirement for that type of loan is you have to live in the property, right? You can't commit mortgage fraud. But you have people that are trying to pull this stuff, and it's like, look, we're not working with you. We're not pulling that kind of stuff. We do things the right way, and explain it to them. So, hey, look, if you could come up with 25%, but this shouldn't be what I'm getting at is it shouldn't be a surprise down the road. If you had that meeting with them ahead of time and set the proper expectations.
well, that's the other thing. So we talk about submitting. You submit to the hard conversations and questions, and this isn't just in real estate, Christ. This is in life. Like, you've got to have hard conversations with, with your hell. I mean, I can tell you from personal experience, when I avoid hard conversations with Brittany, with my wife, later on there's a harder one to be had. Like, you've got to face the music. And, like, so actually one of our agents, on our huddle, had mentioned, um, one of their buyers had sent them a home with 6 acres, and she had told her, she said, hey, like, I know you're not going to want to cut 6 acres of grass. And instead of just like, the easy would have just been like, yeah, let's go see it. Like, she could have just, yeah, let's go see it. She knew her needs and wants enough to know that that's not what that person actually wants. She uses the top five, right? The accountability tool. I mean, it's a little different because it's something like, hey, you don't want this, and I know that, but she's skilled enough and such an expert agent that she, said, hey, I know you're not going to want to deal with the 6 acres, right?
Yeah.
And the buyer actually said, you know what, you're right, and thanked her for that. And it's like, man, I don't know that I always do that when I should. You know what I mean? Like, we need to just have the hard conversations.
Yeah. And like you said, it's not like you have to be like Inspector Gadget and like trying to figure out like a detective or whatever on the case. But it's like when you hear people and you know them, there's a reason why they're working with you is to lead them through the process. So sometimes they're not aware of their best interest in mind. But like you said, stuff like that, you don't want to cut that grass. I was just showing out houses yesterday, and they're like, I don't want to maintain the pool. Like I want to, they're getting towards retirement age. They don't want to just open it every year and then never use it. So I'm like, what about like a townhouse or a condo or something like that? No maintenance. And then you guys can kind of come and go when you want, where you want. They're like, yes, that's exactly what we want. So yeah, listen to what people want. But we talk about it all the time too. Believe what people do, not what they say.
mm.
Right. So when you're touring the house with people and they're coming up with you and they're saying, things like, I don't want to maintain this, I don't want to maintain that, you know, antenna should be up and you should be like, oh, okay, this makes sense.
Actually listening, yeah. I mean, that's so much of a thing too. I think that we get into such a, and I'm guilty of it at times too, but you get into such a mentality of, um, we have this thing and that thing and this blah 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 blah, like feature feature feature, and not enough of just the basics of, like, listening and focusing on just helping guide somebody through what they said they want, and what they really will really deliver on the feeling that they want. Not even so much just bed baths, blah 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 blah, stuff like that. And being proactive about it. It's
I think it's
basic,
more
but
about lifestyle than it is the home, right?
mm,
What's your ideal lifestyle? Like, what are you trying
yeah,
to get out of this?
yeah. Yeah, no, it's well, it's that, and that's what's so interesting. And it's probably, I think that's good. Everybody, and myself included, not everybody, a lot of people get into the business and they go, I want to do residential real estate at first, but I eventually want to do commercial. I did. I said that. Um, and because commercial is logical and which is true. It's way more logical. I agree, but they're two totally different things. And you build the skill sets in residential. You're not building anything in commercial. And then, for me, that's what happened, right? I built the skill set in residential. I understand it. I know it through and through. So why would I go try to start all over again and do commercial? So first of all, they're separate. If you're going to go commercial out the gate and go the whole way. So if you're watching this podcast and you think you're going to do commercial real estate, go do commercial real estate. Find somebody that knows what they're doing and go under their wing and learn. But the second side of that is that like I think that's what's so kind of interesting about residential real estate is like we can complain or about the dealing with other people at the grocery store or whatever all we want, but man, we all experienced COVID, and when you're by yourself home, bored, like without people, this stuff gets dull real fast. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, I realized how much of a people person I am. Like, I can't just, sit behind the scenes. I got to be around people all the time. So that's one of the best parts of the job is just helping people with what they're looking to do. I mean, if we just simplify it down to that, like helping people with what they're looking to do and take all the emotion out of it and all the drama out of it, that's all we're trying to do is just help them. They're trying to go from A to B. Let's see if we can help them do that.
Well, and it's not even take it out of it. It's just separate from it to help make a decision that applies to it. You know what I mean? Don't let the emotions guide the decision, though, solely. And that's the thing. And well, and then you come back to the whole. Let's make a full circle. And I made a post about this, but you know, you hear a lot about judgment. Don't come with judgment, and you hear that in the context of a person, right? Like you shouldn't judge people. Now think about it. Now when you do, because we all have done it, and you judge that person as for lack of any better words, a shitty person, right? You see them as a shitty person. You see them through that lens. Like, and it's
Hmm.
hard to break that. It's hard. We've all been there. Like you have in between your ears. Whether you admit it or not, it's another story. And then if you think about it now, imagine when you judge the work, because I do, right? When you say, "Man, that's hard." Calling people is hard though. Like making calls is hard. Well, you're viewing it through that lens. You just judged it. What if you came at it with curiosity? Like, well, if I called people, it could be fun. I wonder how that works. I mean, these people have made a good living doing that. Or if I called people, maybe my bank account would be better. So, I mean, that's too direct, but you get the point. Like, if you come at it from a position of curiosity and not judgment, and man, is that something I'm working personally on a ton. Like that stupid childlike curiosity. Like kids don't come at things and go like, "This is hard." They're just like, "Oh, let me try." I mean,
Figure it out.
yeah.
Well, here's the thing, and I'm going to write a post on this either tomorrow or the next day. Is chasing your dreams, right? How many people that get into real estate and they would trade off working 40 hours a week for somebody else's dream instead of working 2 hours a day on your own dream? You know,
Mm.
it's the craziest thing, but people trade that off all the time. If you thought about it in that mentality, like you said, that curiosity stage, it's like think about building your life and the life that you want instead of working for somebody else's dream and building the life that they want. You know, put it in perspective.
And I got it right here for me personally. I don't know if anybody else would resonate with this, but I used to play Minecraft before kids had it. Like I played it when it came out. It was, and I would build a ton of wild stuff in that game. And now I don't play games really anymore. My kids are playing it, and I look at the stuff they built, and I'm like, oh my God, that must took forever. That must be so hard. I couldn't imagine doing that. It's it's not hard because they don't. First of all, they don't view it as hard clearly because they want to do it right. But clearly, right there is like, and I'm clearly wrong because I used to build that type of stuff when I didn't view it as hard. So like I
Yep.
know that's really stupid, but I can directly see how my judgment of how it's hard to build shit in Minecraft is
Yeah.
causing me to not take action and build shit in Minecraft because I think it's hard. Does that make sense?
Doing the hard things that we don't want to do when we don't want to do them. It's right. That's the magic, getting up and doing the stuff that you don't want to do. Or like you said, just having fun with it and gamifying it and making it fun, or it's something that you want to do.
And for me, it's about instilling that constant level of curiosity instead of saying it's something I don't want to do. And it sounds so stupid, but I mean, hopefully, people listening can resonate with like that and start to wake up every day and not go, wow, this is hard or this is easy or I don't want to or I want to, and just come on and go, I don't know where this will end up, but I'm sure it'll be fun, along the ride. And like, it sounds so simple, and we've all heard that mentality before, but I really, right now, for me, a really, really big focus, and I really think that's a big game changer for not just production, but just quality of life.
Well, for sure. And, I just sent this message out to the team yesterday. For one, for new real estate agents that might be listening to this, we cater kind of to the newer real estate agents. Like, for one, when do we work? We work when most people aren't working, nights and weekends. Because I was telling the team, like, jump on these money time pawn shifts that we have for new leads coming in on the weekend. I didn't see that booked up, and I'm like curious on that. I'm like, when do people search for houses? When they're outside of work, right? So a lot of leads come in after 6 o'clock at night. When do a lot of people want to go see houses and search for houses? When they're not working, on the weekends, right? And I said, there's a message to market match that we're missing here. And you should be going back to your database and hitting it. And what is it? New year, new me, New Year's resolution, right? A lot of times people are talking about what do they want to do in 2025? Get out of the situation that they're in from 2024. Maybe they want to stop renting, right? Maybe they want to upsize, downsize, dream house, investment property, all that kind of thing. Have that message to them. Is 2025 going to be different, right? And then, like I said, if you have a strategy when you are calling, then it's a lot more easier to make the calls. A lot of times it's hard and we make it a lot tougher than it is because we don't plan ahead of time what we're going to say to our clients.
Well, and then okay, so cool. I'm happy you mentioned that because another thing is, obviously I post stuff on social media. We're doing it right now. Um, and when you post educational and informational things out there, if you're a real estate agent and, you, first of all, when you do it and you think you're going to sell a bunch of real estate because you posted a TikTok that was about a house, I mean, of course, over a ton of it, sure, it can help, it can be a good thing. But here's the thing, you don't need the video to blow up for it to be relevant if you're taking action. So you can take that video that you posted about the inspection process and you can leverage it by saying, hey, by the way, about the inspections, here's this. So like one of the things I noticed was I started building up the YouTube channel a little bit. I started making some shorts, and as I started to get in action talking to the leads, they would say, perfect example. They would say like, we're considering moving to Florida. We're from the north. I made a video about what I learned after moving here after 4 years. I sent them that video. This was a lead that I couldn't get to answer the phone that texted me, right? I sent them that video. They watched the whole 8-minute video. Think about that. Like, text is hard to build rapport with somebody. But now they just got to watch a 7-minute video of me narrating my journey moving here to Florida. Things come out during that, like that we sold 1,000 homes in 10 years, that I've helped this buyer do that, right? Things come out during that. And so, like, it's like giving them pieces that are edifying me. And then also, they're getting that connection with me for 7 or 8 minutes, which is even maybe better than a phone call because they watched me and they got my nonverbal communication, right? As soon, you could see it in the text. As soon as they watched it, I mean, he told me, he said, hey, me and my daughter just watched that, and oh, that was really good, and I resonate with this and that, and our conversation blew up, and he started giving me a bunch more info because of building the rapport. So if you're somebody who has maybe posted a lot or tried the social media route, don't forget to leverage it when you do take action too. And I think the two in tandem is like that's the freaking gasoline on the fire.
Yeah, yeah, and to tie back on making one call and then they don't answer and then you never contact them again. Be consistent with your social media, right? How many times do you see one person post once a month and then they're like, sit back and wait for the money to come in, baby. And just never happens because they're not consistent with it, or Like I have a lot of newer agents too, and they'll post like, "Hey, if you're looking to buy or sell, give me a call." And it's like, I'm
Well,
like, they just expect that like all of a sudden like their phone's going to be ringing off the hook.
and I want people to look at what we're doing right here. Jason, when I started this, I'm like, dude, we talk all the time. Let's just commit to a once a week podcast. Who knows where the hell it's going to go? And you and I have had hard weeks, challenges, bumps, bruises, all that stuff. But anybody in the real estate space, especially on the leadership front, would have been thrilled to have John Cheplack on their podcast. We were thrilled last week. We were excited about it. We made some posts about it. It had a higher viewership. The reason we get to have that is because we had a once a week commitment that we didn't miss on. We're on 60 straight weeks of this. We haven't missed a week, right? So you can have the awesome moments if do things consistently. And um, you look at, I mean, Joe Rogan's what, the number one podcast I think that exists. What number episode is he on now? Like,
A million.
that's why you get to do those things. And yeah, there's the big ones where, okay, well, Elon Musk or this person's on it, okay, so everybody watches that episode. But then there's the 30 others in between,
Yeah.
that. I mean, if that
Well,
doesn't expose the
let's
work
just
that's
talk.
required.
I literally just had this conversation. One of the agents on the team during our morning call today was saying the same thing. It's like, for Christmas holidays, she went around and placed little gift baskets on, little things with candies and stuff around her neighborhood. And some lady called her and said, "Hey, how'd you know I was looking to sell my house?" And she's like, "No, I was just being friendly." I'm like, it's amazing what happens in life when you just show up and be consistent with it.
And Hermosi describes that perfectly, where you're increasing your surface area of look.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I get that. That is a great line because it just boom, you get it.
Yeah. Expand on that because I think that'd be helpful for people to understand that concept.
Right. So let's say you get into real estate and you have friends and family and they know because you made a social media post, right? Okay, so make it as a circle, right? Like that amount of people are aware. Well, let's say you send out some mailers. Let's say, and for those on audio later, I'm making a bigger circle. And then let's say you called 20 people a day. Like you're just increasing the surface area of that circle to result in luck hits at a certain, like you don't know where it's going to hit, but if you increase
Mhm.
the circle, the surface area of that circle or whatever shape it is, you get the gist.
Yeah.
You're having a better chance that you're going to have good luck or low hanging fruit. So when you understand it that way, I mean, for me, I know when I first heard him explain it that way, and I pictured the circle personally, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
But here's the thing that people don't get, the other side of that.
Mm,
When you stop, the circle starts shrinking back, right?
right, because of people's attention spans.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you always have to be capturing them there. Like Tammy on the team, when she first started, she was going to, like the grocery store and putting her card underneath people's windshields, right?
Yeah.
And she was getting calls from that. And then, stop doing that activity. And right, are you getting the calls from the ones that you did prior? Probably not. But doing that consistently over time, or, we had some door hangers going there, for real estate stuff, just putting on their door, a little card in there and all that kind of stuff. Just like you said, all those little activities add up and increase your circuit. And it's miraculously how lucky you get when you do all the work.
I know. I even experienced where I started to see like, well, everything works. Like they don't have ads on TV and Facebook ads and mailers because they don't work. Like you just didn't figure out your marketing sucked, or you didn't figure out how to make it, or you weren't consistent, right? So
Yeah.
one of those examples is I did mailers when I got into the business. A mentor had me do it at my first brokerage, and I did them for 3 or 4 months, and like spending all this money, and I didn't even have one single lead. And for me, when you would get, internet leads, you pay a couple bucks and you have a name, phone number, and email. I'm like, heck yeah, I like that. But so I was always like real resistant to mailers because of the 3 months worth of mailers I did. Um, However, I had a buyer recently, and we were trying to find an off market property because we were having trouble finding an on market property for them, their criteria. So I, searched similar homes and sent out some mailers to people. Say, hey, if you're ever interested in selling your house, got a buyer who's dying for a house in your neighborhood, and I have a person who called me from it and is going to list their house with me. Like
Yeah. And it's
from there.
amazing. You create your own luck in this industry by getting
100%.
out there, letting people know what you do, doing a great job when you do it, and getting referrals from it. That's how easy it is.
That's it. So submit to the work in front of you. Um,
Yeah.
submit to it. It's it's going to increase your surface area of luck. You don't know who you'll become on the other side of it. You don't know who you'll meet. Every day is a new one. You know, if you don't go out there and meet new people, you'll never have a chance to make new relationships and friendships. And you just never know. You never know
Yeah.
when you can meet a great person like Jason, who's a disappointed Vikings fan.
I'm amazing. You could meet me.
You just never know. So,
Well,
um,
just to end on this, right? So, like you said, opportunity and getting out there, right? So, I partake in an investor meetup. I invest in real estate. I have my own properties. I'm one of the speakers at the event, showing up every month at the event, right? Who do I meet? My business partner now that I'm opening up a property management company with. Would I have ever met her if I wasn't out and about? No. Nothing happens when you're home. Get your ass outside and get in the. I almost curse. I'm trying to behave myself for New Year's with
no, I'm
the
not.
curse that I'm biting my lip, but get your ass out there, start meeting some people.
That's it. That's the whole game. So, well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Make sure you hit up sharknationlive.com and check out some of our previous episodes. And if you don't know, we are also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all of the mediums. So subscribe to us on your favorite one. And if you're not there, shoot me a message so I make sure we get there. But I think we're in all the major sources. So hope we got some value from today. But the biggest thing I want to leave you with is just to submit to the work in front of you, and as Jason is doing, expand that circle. You never know who you'll meet. Thanks,
Peace.
everybody.